Sniping's a good job, mate. For those of you that lived under the rocks of Dust Bowl, the Amby is a weapon for spy that gets crits on headshot, however has a 15% lower base damage and 20% lower firing speed and no random crits. The basic idea behind this weapon was, well, if you had good aim, this weapon works. Hitting a headshot deals 102 damage regardless of range, which also makes it effective at long range, granted the spy actually had super good aim. Point is, it was really good, but then Jungle Inferno came along and, oh, this isn't so bad. Spies shouldn't exactly be able to be that effective at long ranges, and it makes a good change. Yeah, while I can get behind your mindset here, it's really the extent that this nerf hit the weapon that makes it a bit questionable. This weapon all of a sudden became so overwhelmingly bad for some, that a lot of people considered it to essentially have been removed from the game. I myself wasn't really a part of this group, nor am I still, but I can get behind why some feel this way. Another thing is that, did people really have a problem with the Amby in the first place? Sure, it was overused by spies who just wanted to flaunt their skill and say, "Hey, look how good I am at this video game, guys. Oh, I am not having any fun with this game." I mean, the hate train on the Amby was only really a result of the TF2 making their blog post where they suggested the nerf and stated their reason as to why. And I mean, this reason was a good reason. It convinced me that maybe the Amby could use a nerf, just not as hard as this. In the update, two things were changed about the Amby. One, the crits have damage fall off, but they also have a limit, both of which are quite harsh if you ask me. But Spy isn't supposed to be a long-range class, duh. Yes, but this is pretty much killing the weapon. I'd be fine with putting a limit on the range that crits can be done, but not putting an extreme case of damage fall off on it as well. The other issue is that this weapon was actually hard to use. You had to actually aim it, and unlike Sniper, you couldn't scope in, which made the hitboxes bigger, therefore making them easy to hit. Sniper was also still more powerful at range than with the Amby. The Amby did 120 damage flat on headshot, which can't actually one-shot you, unlike what Sniper can do. I don't feel like it's quite as much of a case of Spy being Sniper as some people would think. Another thing about the Ambassador was that it also opened up the existence of the Gun Spy subclass. If you don't know what a subclass is, it's essentially a weapon, or set of weapons, that trades a hefty chunk of the abilities of a class, replacing them with others, basically creating a new class. Trolljer, Lyro, Battle Medic, Huntsman, Battle Engineer, most importantly. But Gun Spy was really the only alternate playstyle Spy had. Actually, no, scratch that. Spy did actually have another really cool alternate playstyle, which was the Your Eternal Reward. Oh, god damn it! Some also say that Spy is an underpowered class, easily being killed. Though I have never really felt this way, though mainly because I play Spy through my use of mind games. But the Ambassador was a good way of a skilled Spy being able to defend himself. It allowed him to punish overconfident players that assumed that the only good weapon that the Spy had was a knife. And while that is still possible with trick stabs, you still have to get the enemy to come close to you and hope that they fall for it. But hey, at least the name tag on my Amby is still relevant. Spy has a gun! On the topic of nerfs, why is this thing still in its broken state? Please fix it! Why did this not get nerfed in Jungle Inferno? Oh, it's just broken. I don't exactly see the Amby as being overpowered though. Or at least, it didn't need as hard of a nerf as it got. Nobody really complained about it. It has always been unbanned in third-party comp leagues. The stock revolver would also out-DPS the Amby at close range, and other classes could also do similar amounts of damage from close range. There are lots of people who have voiced their opinion about the Amby nerf, and they really haven't been in defense of the nerf. And for some, it's robbed them of a viable subclass to Spy, as well as how the Your Eternal Reward nerfs did it for me. In fact, the changes to Spy and Jungle Inferno, apart from the Dead Ringer, weren't really necessary. In all honesty, I don't really mind the Ambassador nerf, but I can agree that it wasn't needed, and I would be happy for them to revert the changes in the Heavy update, whenever that may be. But also, TF team, please give me back my old Eurotuna reward! Please! But what is your opinion on this all? After watching this, you may know a bit more, and yes, the Amby was used by a lot of spies that love to flaunt their skill all over the show, but realistically, do you think it needed the nerf? Do you think it didn't? Do you think it should have been nerfed as hard as it was? I do have my opinion on the weapon, but unlike the objectively bad random crits, I'm not so fussed on it. But hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing, leave a like, or maybe even a comment with your own opinion. I also have my Discord server in the description below, and my Twitter, which you can follow. But anyway, thanks for watching, and goodbye. Sure, it was overused by spies who wanted to flaunt their skill and say, "Hey, look at me! Oh, look at how." Oh, my screen turned off.